Good day to everyone. I am Hannah Faith Chihumaya and I will be discussing the continuation for postmodernism. Now, onto my discussion for the figureheads related to the definition of postmodernism. First, we have Frederick Jameson. So, he sees artistic movements like modernism and postmodernism as cultural formations that accompany particular stages of capitalism and are to some extent constructed by it. So the first stage of capitalism was during the 18th and 19th century market capitalism with its new technologies such as the steam engine that transformed everyday life. So realism was the predominant style within this age of capitalism. The second is from the late 19th century through World War II. So, modernism ruled the arts within monopoly capitalism. It is often associated with electricity and internal combustion. So, these are the technologies developed during the second stage of capitalism. The third stage is dominated by the global consumer capitalism. The emphasis is heavily placed on advertising and selling goods. So it is now called the information age, which we are all very familiar with. The next figurehead we have is Jean-Francois Lyotard. So he gave us the terminologies grand narratives and mini narratives. So a grand narrative or master narrative is what maintains stability through stories. So a culture tells itself about its practices and beliefs in order to keep going. A grand narrative in American culture might be the story that democracy is the most enlightened or rational form of government and that democracy will lead to universal human happiness. But postmodernism, because it happened after the Second World War, is characterized by incredulity towards meta-narratives that serve to mask the contradictions and instabilities inherent in any social organization. So postmodernism prefers many narratives of local events. It does not seek stability. Next, similarly, we have Jean Baudrillard, another Frenchman, describes the simulacra of postmodern life which have taken the place of real objects. Think, for example, of video games or modern compact discs for which there is no original in the way that reproductions are made of original paintings or statues. So we have now Spotify, Apple Music, so virtual and another layer is virtual reality games, which adds another dimension to the artificiality of postmodern life. Perhaps postmodernism is best compared to the emergence of computer technology, which have made everything easy for us. So he believes that in the future, anything not digitizable may cease to be knowledge. For Baudrillard, postmodernism marks a culture composed of disparate fragmentary experiences and images that constantly bombard the individual in music, video, television, advertising, and other forms of electronic media. So the speed and ease of reproduction of these images mean that they exist only as image, devoid of depth, coherence, or originality, which is a very harsh way of putting that we cease to distinguish the lines between virtual and reality. So, postmodernism thus reflects both the energy and diversity of contemporary life as well as its frequent lack of coherence and depth. The lines between reality and artifice can become so blurred that reality TV is now hard to distinguish from reality and from television entertainment, which can be said true about a lot of soap operas that we watch now or reality TV shows like PBB. We don't know how much of it is stage or how much of it is drama. So that was an example. Next we have is Charles Olson. So he is one of the Americans who believe in the power of democracy. But after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Olson lost faith in the possibilities for liberal democracy. also believe that it did not go wide enough or deep enough in the attempt to restore humanity's lost meaning, nor did it provide enough checks and balances against the corporate takeover of the world. So, he argues that it has become necessary to deconstruct the accepted authorities of Western thought while seeking to preserve the thought of such persons who throughout history have warned against system of ideation that debase human beings. In Olson's vision, one of the great villains is Aristotle, one of the heroes, Apollonius of Tyana. With Aristotle, the two great means appear, logic and classification. And it is they, as he has written in his Human Universe essay, that have so fastened themselves on habits of thought that action is interfered with, absolutely interfered with, I should say. The harmony of the universe, and I include man, is not logical, or better, is post-logical, as is the order of any created thing. Now, I'm going to discuss 5 characteristics of postmodern literature. So, postmodern literature builds on the following core ideas. First is embrace of randomness. Postmodern works reject the idea of absolute meaning and instead embrace randomness and disorder. Postmodern novels often employ unreliable narrators to further muddy the waters with extreme subjectivity and prevent readers from finding meaning during the story. An example of this is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. That is because we follow Lockwood, uncovering the story of Catherine and her love corner between Heathcliff and Edgar, as retold to him by Nellie and by the help of Catherine's diaries. And the story is not very linear because we jump from the future back to the past and so on and so forth. The second characteristic is playfulness. Now, while modernist writers mourned the loss of order, postmodern writers reveled in it, often using tools like black humor, wordplay, irony, and other techniques of playfulness to dizzy readers and muddle the story. Third is fragmentation. Postmodernist literature took modernism's fragmentation and expanded on it, moving literary works more towards collage style forms, temporal distortion, and significant jumps in character and place. Fourth is metafiction. Postmodern literature emphasized meaninglessness and play. Postmodern writers began to experiment with more meta elements in their novels and short stories, drawing attention to their works' artifice and reminding readers that the author isn't an authority figure. Fourth is metafiction. Postmodern literature emphasized meaninglessness and play. Postmodern writers began to experiment with more meta elements in their novels and short stories, drawing attention to their works' artifice and reminding readers that the author isn't an authority figure. Last is intertextuality. So it is a form of collage style writing. Many postmodern authors wrote their work overtly in dialogue with other texts. The techniques they employed included pastiche or imitating other authors' styles, and the combination of high and low culture writing to tackle subjects that were previously considered inappropriate for literature. So, example for postmodern literature, we have Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude. We follow several characters sprawled over time, and we have magic realism. It employs analogy for something that happened in real life, such as the banana plantation, which is an analogy for the United Fruit Company in real life, which came to Macondo after the civil war between the liberals and conservatives. So the plantation is brought to Macondo by the American government, and it stands in for the imperialism that Colombia faced. That would be all. Thank you for listening.